and welcome to Inside Jefferson Football, your weekly look inside the Jaguar football program. My name is Josh Powers. Coming up on this episode, we will talk to the head coach about last week's game against Benilde St. Margaret's, as well as preview homecoming and the game against the Cooper Hawks on Friday. We'll talk to longtime former Jaguar teacher and coach Denny Mulherrick. And then in the players segment, we'll catch up with a couple of juniors on this year's team. We've got Roosevelt Cage and Carter Hansen. But first, the head coach. You had a gauntlet of running teams here as of late, and Benilde was, was going to do that on Friday. And you guys were competitive in the first half, and then Benilde just kind of ground you guys a little bit in the second half, like they've done to most everybody so far this year.
Yeah, we talked about it. It seems like every week, but we kind of know what they're going to do, and they're big, they're physical. They only run really a handful of plays, so you know what they're going to do. But it's kind of the Eden Prairie model. Here's what we're going to do. You just try and stop us, and they're just really good at it. And we had a lot of good series against them, a lot of threes and out to get the ball back, but we just didn't maintain the speed and aggressiveness that we were playing with, made too many mistakes throughout the game. And when you're playing a team that's bigger and stronger than you are, you just can't make mistakes, little mistakes that kind of cost us a few times.
Benilde's going to have a chance to go a long way, currently undefeated, ranked in the top 5. Let's take a look at some of your highlights, Coach, because you guys did a lot of nice things in this game as well. Roosevelt Cage gets you started off on the right foot here. This gave you guys the lead back in the first half on a nice drive, and then it finishes with not a very long play, but you only needed a yard, and you guys get it.
Yeah, this actually was fourth down. It looks like the ball sitting in the end zone right before we even snap it. And if all else fails, just kind of follow Pierce, and Rosie put his head down and gets in. Yeah, this is a fourth down. We didn't get in on a QB sneak, thought we were in there, but the credit to our line. That was a great drive, went the length of the field, and it was about 15 plays, and that followed a three and out. Defense stopped them 3 and out, got the ball back, and marched right down to score to take the lead. And so it was a good start, but again, it's kind of maintaining those things.
Let's take a look at some of your air highlights, Coach, because you had a nice pass here, 65-yard touchdown connection. We're going to talk to Carter here in a little bit. He's the guy that engineers this.
Yeah, Carter will probably tell you it was a longer throw, but we have film of it, so we're going to hold him to this. But Carter probably played his best game, we thought, as coaches. Great decision-making, some good throws. We run a lot of slants, so we went a slant and go. You see the DBs kind of peeking inside on the slant, and that's when Manny can just run right by him. And it was a good route, good throw, and again, kind of right back in it. We were always around that 14-point area and just couldn't get it to 7. We had a nice drive going at the end of the first half and just didn't finish that drive. And we were going to take the lead towards the end of the half and just didn't. We turned it over, and they went down and scored. So little mistakes. We can't turn the ball over, and we got to do things right if we want to beat teams that are really, really good.
Yeah, and later in the game, Coach, your running game provides you with a big explosive play here. Roosevelt Cage takes it for 50 yards, and I love how he finishes this run by getting into the end zone.
Well, I'm sure in a little bit, Rosie's going to tell you all about this. But once again, we know it's only 50 yards, so Rosie can't exaggerate too much. But it's a great run. Look at the hole we got. Just skips to the outside. Then he just puts two guys, or maybe even 3 down with a stiff arm. Cuts it back, and yeah, that's probably his best run in his couple of years here with us. It was just nice, but look at the hole right, you can see it right there, and he reads it well. There's one stiff arm, there's another stiff arm. Now, at some point, I think I got to race Rosie. I think I can actually catch him, but we'll settle that on the field sometime. But yeah, it was a great run, great blocking by the line, but Roosevelt did a great job there.
Talk about your defense, Coach. What can you take from playing all these teams? First of all, are you guys healthy heading into this game? And then as maybe you take a little bit of a step down from maybe some of those rushing teams the last few weeks. We'll talk about Cooper in the last segment. But where does your defense stand right now?
We're pretty healthy. We have a few guys nicked up. We're going to, no one long term, so we may miss a guy or two this week, but we'll see. It's still kind of those day-to-day things. But yeah, I think the guys on defense will be glad to see no 300-pounders pulling and trying to kick them out. Cooper will be a full zone team, so it'll be a different look for our defense. We'll be pretty healthy on defense. So again, we have to play fast because we know Cooper will, and we have to get the ball back, turnovers, and we did a good job of that early in the year. Haven't done it as well a couple of weeks, but overall we feel good. You know, you have Pierce leading the defense, and we always know what he's going to bring.
All right, Coach, we'll catch up with you in our final segment. We'll preview homecoming. We'll also talk a little bit about the Cooper Hawks as well.
Sounds good.
All right, coming up next, we'll talk to former Jaguar teacher and coach, Denny Malherek. It's Inside Jefferson Football right after this on BBC TV.
Completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, and she convinced me to continue my education. No one receives a diploma alone. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Back on Inside Jefferson Football. It is homecoming week. That means the Jaguars will be back home to take on the Cooper Hawks Friday night at 7 o'clock. You can watch it, of course, live on BBC TV, or better yet, get out on what should be a beautiful homecoming night and support the Jaguars. All right, it's our Where Are They Now segment here on Inside Jefferson Football. And pleased to be joined by longtime Jefferson coach, teacher, Denny Malherek. Denny, thanks a lot for joining the show.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. I hope they don't think it's Antiques Roadshow or something. No.
Exactly. So, Denny, talk about your past as when did you decide that being an educator was something that you wanted to pursue, and just talk about how you were able to get down that path to become a teacher.
I think one day a friend of mine and myself were at the stadium where I went to college, and we said, what are we going to do? And so kind of, what do we like? I said, well, I like kids. I get along with kids. I do a good job with kids. So I decided to be a teacher at that point.
What was that process like? What led you eventually down that road to land you at Jefferson High School?
My first interview was in Bloomington, and I started in Bloomington as a fourth grade teacher, got drafted during the Vietnam thing, and came back as an elementary Phi Ed teacher, made my way to eventually to the high school in Phi Ed and also other special programs, and ended up as a drug counselor, and also I coached football, skiing, and track during my career.
Didn't know about your military background, but share what you did during Vietnam.
That's an interesting thing. So I got drafted before the lottery numbers and so forth, but during basic training they said, can anybody in here type? Well, you never know if you should raise your hand or not, because often if you raise your hand you get KP or something like that. So later in basic training, I was assigned to a headquarters company, and somebody found out I had been a teacher. So I got assigned to a special training company to teach guys who were drafted who were having a hard time reading and writing. So I spent my career in the Army actually teaching.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
It was a great story, yeah.
Talk about what you did at Jefferson, the classes you taught, Denny, and also the sports that you were a part of as a coach.
Okay. I was fortunate to do a lot of things. I coached Phi Ed, and then I coached in a special program called STAR, where we worked with kids who had a little trouble in school, had a tough way around and so forth. That was a great experience. They were great kids. I taught health classes, and then my final 15 years or so, I was a chemical awareness counselor, which also was a great experience because I got to work with kids who struggled a little bit, and also leadership kids who did a great job as peer counselors.
So what was that, because that's kind of a unique role within a high school. So talk about kind of what's the day-to-day like of being that youth counselor.
Well, you get kids referred to you who are having problems or so forth, so you try to talk to them, talk to their parents, see where they're coming from, see if the parents know about it, see if it's bothering their performances and so forth, their behavior, and you take it from there. Hopefully they get assessed a little bit and find out just where they are at with the situation. Maybe without sharing specific names, was there a story or two about a
a certain kid that you help that you're really proud of or that stands out over the years?
Well, often I see kids who have gone through this, and they're the first ones that come up to you and shake your hand and are glad to see us. That's the great part of that. They realized that I was there to help them. They knew they had struggles at the time, and so you help them through that, and they appreciate it in the end.
Talk about your role as the skiing coach at Jefferson High School.
That was really fun. I coached skiing because I really enjoyed it myself, and I got into it and had the good fortune of having some really good athletes who won some championships and so forth. Skiing as a high school sport, but it's also a big club team, and like tennis and so forth. And obviously the success comes from the teams that are loaded with the club skiers and so forth.
For those that don't know, what are some of the events that the high school skiing team participates in?
Basically, that's just downhill slalom skiing. Yeah. So during an event, you would ski 2 runs of downhill skiing and downhill slalom, and then compute the time and rank the time, and that's how you figure out who wins.
And in a typical meet, how many, is it just 1 or 2 teams? How many teams participate generally in a meet?
The format that we usually had about 6 teams, 10 on a team. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
When you look back, you've been retired since 2001, so 18 years.
Went by fast.
Of retirement, which is awesome. But when you look back, what are some of the moments, memories that really stand out from your career at Jefferson?
You know, I've been thinking about this. There are really a lot of them. It's probably too hard to pinpoint 1 or 2. You always like your successes. We had some great football teams, some that went to the state tournament, some that were probably overachieved, and then some disappointing losses too. But you cherish those too because that's all part of the experience in high school.
What about, do you have any stories from Coach Carlson? You said backstage that no, or he said nothing, but do you have any stories of your interactions with Tim?
It's an interesting year because that year was the first year that Lincoln had closed, and that senior class that came to both Jefferson and Kennedy. So it was combining those 2 teams, and Tim fit in really well and was part of the process of bringing the whole team together. Did a great job.
And what was your role as assistant coach at part of the football team? What did that look like?
Most of the time I was the defensive coordinator and specifically coached the defensive backs.
We'll see Coach Stan Shea at the game on Friday. What do you remember from your interactions with Stan over the years?
Stan was a tremendous coach. He made all the coaching really fun. I think fun for the coaches and also fun for the players. We were always really well prepared. And he has a great football mind, and I think he still enjoys football just as much as he did then. I
can definitely agree with that. Well, Denny, it was great to catch up with you and hear about your time at Jefferson. Great to see you again, and we'll catch up with you down the line, all right?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, that's former Jaguar coach and teacher Denny Mulherrick on the Where Are They Now segment. Coming up next, our Players segment with Carter Hansen and Roosevelt Cage on Inside Jefferson Football.
Let's set the facts straight. Almost a quarter of car crashes involve cell phones. When you text and drive, you look away at least 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's the length of a football field. Time out. It's illegal in 39 states to text and drive, but you're in danger everywhere when you don't focus. So keep your eyes on the road and arrive alive. No text, no wrecks. So don't text and drive.
Back on Inside Jefferson Football, the Jaguars have homecoming this week. They get the home game against the Cooper Hawks on Friday. We'll have live coverage for you on BEC TV, but better yet, get up cheer on the Jaguars to hopefully a homecoming win over Cooper. 2 key guys to the offense. Join me now, running back Roosevelt Cage, the quarterback Carter Hansen. Guys, thanks a lot.
Good to be here.
Good to be here. Thank you, guys.
All right, you guys are both juniors, but Roosevelt, this isn't your first year on the team, so talk about coming back. Second year as a big contributor on the team and being a guy that I know you're only a junior, but people look to you as kind of a leader, don't they?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure, but during the offseason, I made sure that I made sure that I kind of did what I had to do to improve on the team and make sure we had because we had some stuff to improve on. I know that for sure, but definitely me too. So I had to get my grind on during the off season so I can improve myself and on my team.
I asked this to all the players, but I'll start with you, Carter. When did you realize that you wanted to play football? When did you start playing football? And when did you realize you wanted to football as a high school student?
So my first year was when I was a third grader. Roosevelt and I were actually on the same team.
NBA?
Yes, NBA. So we were the little guys. But from then on, it's an awesome sport, and I wanted to play it as long as I can. So.
Have you always been quarterback, or when did you decide, maybe the coaches decided, hey, you got too good of an arm, we need you back there? But
in third grade, I was the center. And then my fourth grade year and then on, I was the quarterback. So.
How about you, Roosevelt?
I think first or second grade I did flag football, and then third grade definitely. Once I got a little bit of that tackle experience, I kind of like this. So I did it from until now, and hopefully in the future, yeah.
And I have to imagine for you, growing up, you've got older brothers that have played for Jefferson, that have played football. That had to be they had to be a big influence on you, right?
Yeah. All my brothers were running backs, and I was always the big one, and I was always the lineman. So I'd always try to be that running back, but there was a certain weight limit in BAA that I couldn't match. So they stuck me as a double stripe and a lineman. So as soon as 8th grade came and that those weights didn't matter, I definitely decided to be a running back for sure.
Well, yeah, it all worked out because you're a running back now. So of the three brothers, who's the best running back between you and Rashawn and Josiah? From your perspective,
because Josiah's the older one, he has a little bit more experience. He's definitely the faster, stronger one. I'm the tallest one, so I guess I have a little bit more of an advantage. But if I'm being honest, I have to say Josiah.
Carter, what was that process like for you coming in this year? You knew you were going to be competing as in that quarterback room. What was that process like? And then to be the starting QB for Jefferson, what did that mean to you?
Same as Roosevelt. So during the off season, I worked as hard as I could to be that role this year. So, and then this summer, I tried to get to everything as much as I could. So, and then after that, the rest is history.
Homecoming week, guys. What does that homecoming week mean for you, Carter? And what are some of the things that are going on this week?
It's big for us. It's probably our biggest week, I'd say. At school, we have our spirit week, so every day's a different day. But Friday's going to be big. Got to come out with a win.
Roosevelt, any guys that are going to be up on the homecoming court?
You
know of?
Yeah, Hillary McCory, okay. Number 4, our corner, ran for homecoming king. Unfortunately, he didn't win.
Well, don't give it away. We're going to find out on Friday.
You're right. Sorry. But my other friend, Zach Farrar, won homecoming king, and Paige Thompson definitely ran for homecoming queen. So you'll find out the results on Friday.
I want to ask you both about a key play for you guys this season. Roosevelt, for you, we just saw that big touchdown run, 50-yarder earlier. What was that like to complete that run?
It felt good because that was my first big yardage varsity play. So I was definitely happy about that. Not gonna lie, I was a little tired, but not too tired at the end. So it was pretty fun getting those big yards.
We're gonna take one quick look at it here, guys. I want to ask you about this cutback move too. What was that vision like? Because you told me you knew you weren't going to get to the end zone, but when did you decide to cut it back?
Throughout the week, they've really stressed how fast Benil was. Mm-hmm. So I figured, because I think I'm a pretty fast running back, but I think they definitely had more of a speed advantage than I did. So I figured if I were to cut back quick enough, then maybe that could give me a better chance of getting to the end zone way more efficiently.
Carter, for you, you had that big overtime touchdown pass against Apple Valley to get you guys to be able to go for 2 and get that win. What was it like to step up in that big moment and deliver a strike?
I was definitely nervous, but it's a lot of fun, but the receivers do a good job. So he ran a perfect route and put the ball where it had to be, and
All right. Well, guys, we're going to do really quick here. We're going to take a little bit of extra time this time. We're going to do our Jefferson trivia. So here we go. 3 questions, multiple choice. At any time, you can buzz in by saying your name. Best 2 out of 3 wins. So here we go. What percent of Jefferson students go on to continue their education at the next level? Is 60%, 80%, 90%, or 95%?
Did we just say our name?
Yep.
Roosevelt. I'm going to say 60%.
It's not. Carter, how about you?
I'm going to say 90%.
90% is correct. We got one more for the win. How many students are at Jefferson High School currently? Is it 1,117, 1,367, 1,678, or 2,022?
Roosevelt. 1,600.
Yes, that's correct. 1,670. Oh, final one. What time does school start every morning? Is it 7:45, 7:50, or 7:55?
Roosevelt. 50.
7:50 is correct. Roosevelt. You guys, you multiple choice to know when school started every day?
I was gonna put my name in before, but
you just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, guys. We'll see you. Best of luck on homecoming week. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Coming up next, the final set with the head coach Tim Carlson on Inside Jefferson Football. Back on Inside Jefferson Football, homecoming week for the Jaguars. They take on the Cooper Hawks Friday at 7 o'clock on BEC TV and also at Bloomington Stadium. Joined by the head coach, Tim Carlson. Coach, a homecoming week. What does that mean to you and your program, and maybe a little bit of a funky schedule this week as well?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm just glad those two left me some time. That's awfully nice of them. But yeah, you know, homecoming, it's part of the high school experience every year, and it probably means more to seniors than others. But you know, it's just a neat time, and you have the Spirit Week, and we had the Pep Fest and the crowning on Monday, and you know, it's just a lot of fun. And you know, sometimes the focus can be off at practice, and you know, I think we've done a pretty good job over the last couple of years of practicing pretty well during this week, and we had a good practice today. And I anticipate the same thing because the kids want to work hard, they want to win, and they know what has to go into that.
Another tough opponent. We say it every week, but we knew that was going to be the case when we had their preview edition of Inside Jefferson Football. We talked about the schedule. Cooper's 3-1. They're probably going to throw maybe more than any other team you've played so far this year. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is different than Cooper than what we've seen for 4 straight weeks. Offensively, they're a zone running team. It's kind of like a zone read, but you know, the quarterback rarely keeps it. So a lot of zone runs from them, which is different than what we've seen. But yes, they throw it quite a bit more than what we've seen in the past. They have a sophomore quarterback who's quite athletic, doesn't run it a lot, but they love to throw it deep. So we're preparing for that and have to know that. And then defensively, we've seen 4 straight weeks of a 3-4 front. This week it's a 4-3 front. So it's that is different for us. But you know, we've played against it before, and you know, maybe little tweaks like that might help us focus a little bit more again during a busy week. And every week's a challenge, every week's an opportunity, and this is just one more opportunity for the kids to have a great week and make a great memory by beating Cooper on homecoming.
Well, let's take a look at their clutch win last week, Coach. They pulled it out in overtime here. They're trailing late in the game with very little time left. They're able to get it in to tie it up.
Yeah, you know, you see the zone run, and it's just kind of lock on man-to-man. They have very big tackles. They don't move as well as some of the big guys we've seen, but they're big. But the 2 guards in the center aren't as big as some of the linemen we've seen. The Benilde center was, I think, about 6'5", 400 pounds, it seemed like. So anybody smaller than that is a treat for us. But they're fast, they're athletic, and we know it'll be a great challenge.
All right, and a couple other clips here, Coach. Here in overtime, they're facing a 3rd and very long, and there's that passing attack. They're able to get into the end zone.
Yeah, he runs it. It's the same pass we showed with Manny that scored our touchdown. You saw the little slant and then break it back out, because typically if you're playing man coverage and the guy you're covering, the receiver, runs a slant, a defensive back tends to peek into the backfield, the quarterback, to see, okay, the route's done. But then they bust it out, and it's a great double move. It's a great route, and we scored on it the week before too. So, yeah, it's a challenge offensively and defensively. I've said that, but again, as we approach it, it's an opportunity, not just a challenge, but a great opportunity for us to have a special night.
As last one for you, Coach, but halfway point here, the regular season, how do you assess your first half and what lies ahead for your team? What are some of those goals as we get to the second half of the season?
Yeah, we've been really a team of highs and lows, I think. We've had some great moments, and then we've had just some bummer moments. We're coming in, there's, look back, hey, there's games I think we could have won. And what our message to the kids is pretty simple. Just watch the tape of the first 4 games. We can be pretty good. You see whether it be Benilde or Waconia or Chanhassen, we move the ball, we stop them. So we have that potential, and I think we have to keep pounding that into our kids that, hey, we're pretty good, but we just can't do little things wrong. Once we clean up little things, let's do that, do what we see on film every single play for 48 minutes, and we're going to be pretty good.
Well, it should be an exciting second half of the year, Coach, and we'll kick it off with homecoming on Friday night.
That'll be fun.
All right, that's the head coach, Tim Carlson. The Jaguars' homecoming week will kick off on Friday, 7 o'clock start against the Cooper Hawks at Bloomington Stadium. That'll wrap up another edition of Inside Jefferson Football. For our entire crew, this is Josh Powers saying good night from our studios.